Hey, remember like 3 months ago when I promised to make this video and then didn't for 3 whole months? Well, the time is now, my dudes, and it's just as much of a shitpost as you can imagine. You want to get good at For Honor? You gotta know the cheeky shit that every hero pulls and how to counter it. Otherwise, you're just gonna end up like Gregor and ride that Papa Shmolty carry every brawl.
Oh! I did a feint! I did a feint!
Now that even the Siege YouTube boys are giving For Honor a shot, I figure it's the best of times to give all you new folks some quick tips on every playable character in For Honor up to this point. Play that intro with copyrighted music and floating text. No, not that one. God, can we just let that meme die already? Warden. When you're not spamming shoulder bash mix-ups, you can try to throw in a top lighter zone here or there to keep things at least somewhat interesting. Also be on the lookout for attacks coming at your top guard because you can crush your encounter with a light attack at the same time as a parry, and it feels just as badass as it sounds. Feint heavy attacks, but sometimes don't feint them, but that can be said for pretty much anyone, can it? What else? Did I mention you should shoulder bash? Like, a lot. Also, since the new rework, Warden's bash mix-up is about twice as strong, and your second top heavy is an unblockable, which you can use to bait a parry or dodge and get a free guard break or light attack. Conqueror. Besides the occasional light attack, which you want to stick with pretty much universally, you want to use your shield bash to both piss your opponent off and get free damage at the same time. This can be done after dodging, landing a light attack, or out of your all guard. Speaking of all guard, this is pretty much the one other thing you want to use with the Conqueror. While in all guard, you can block attacks in any direction, and if you do manage to bait your opponent into smacking your shield, immediately follow this with a heavy to throw a guaranteed uppercut and leave your opponent with half a chin and a shattered ego. Peacekeeper. Spam your zone attack as often as possible because that shit comes out faster than Kevin Spacey after accusations of child molestation, so it's basically free damage. So how would you respond to these very serious accusations? I'm gay! Also be sure to apply bleed using your deflect into light, dodge heavy followed by light, or side heavy cancelled into top light. And other than that, you can pretty much either spam light or guard break. That's her whole moveset right there, so can y'all stop asking me to play her? She's fucking boring. Lawbringer. Turtle your ass off so you can bash after successfully blocking attacks. Use said bash to mix up between a light attack and guard break, as well as the occasional heavy. The light attack can't be blocked, but can be dodged, which is what makes the guard break mix-up so useful. If your opponent has the reaction to dodge on light but still wait for guard break, try throwing a heavy to get them to dodge into it by reacting to an attack indicator. Other than that, you have a quick top light attack and a powerful overhead heavy that's guaranteed after a light parry. Centurion. Guard break, wall splat, charged heavy, charged punch, leaping stab, repeat. Any questions? Doesn't matter, you'll figure it out. Gladiator. Stab the holy fuck out of your opponent's feet until they're forced to buy their fake Yeezys 2 sizes smaller. Also spam your zone attack because it's practically zero risk as the attack can just be cancelled if you miss your punch. And on top of this, you have some pretty quick light attacks that you can mix up with heavy feints in between Falcon punching your opponent in the kisser. Also, don't forget to toe stab every other attack just to get some free damage and piss your opponent off. Oh, did I mention that already? Lastly, there's the skewer attack, which anyone with 50 IQ can parry, so just feint it into a light or guard break most of the time and hope you can catch them by surprise with it once in a blue moon. Raider. First thing you want to do when you're looking to play Raider is head to the customization screen at the main menu and start looking for someone better because Raider fucking sucks. If you still insist on torturing yourself, your only viable options are to cancel your side heavies or zone attack into a top light that stuns your opponent and follow that with a guard break, or just rinse and repeat the head bop until your opponent stops breathing. Oh, and remember to charge your opponent into Narnia every time you get a guard break so you can take down their stamina, and land a free zone attack while they're on the ground laughing at you for playing Raider. Warlord. This guy has a forehead almost as strong as mine, so use it to headbutt the shit out of your opponent for some free lights throughout the fight. If they start dodging, you can dodge towards them and wait a quick second for them to hopefully dodge on reaction and get a free guard break. You can also all guard, which you can try to time with enemy attacks to get a free side heavy, or better yet, just headbutt the fuckers because that's a pretty big chunk of your toolkit right there. Other than that, your zone is pretty quick, and note that your heavies have hyper armor, which is great if you're a fucking mind reader. Also, don't forget that you can charge your opponents 15 feet forward or to either side, which is terrific when there's a conveniently placed cliff nearby. Berserker. Use your infinite combo shamelessly and feint almost every heavy attack so it's just a fancy light spam, and be sure to throw in the occasional top heavy unblockable and feint that as well. But here's the kicker, sometimes you don't feint it. I know, spooky stuff. Couple this with the occasional Beyblade Let It Rip zone attack followed by a light, and throw in some guard breaks in between feints, especially if you see your opponent trying for heavy parries. Berserker also has one of the best deflects in the game with a free guard break, so use that to your advantage if and when you can. Valkyrie. Cancel your heavy attack into a shield bash, and from here you can either sweep your opponent off their feet for a free heavy, guard break to counter their anticipation of the sweep, or just get a free poke. You can also sweep after 2 successful light attacks, which might sound plausible if you're new, but it's really fucking not most of the time. Valk has some of of the easiest lights to parry in the game, so you're better off just mixing in heavy feints and getting a few pokes here and there. You can also deflect into a heavy for some nice bleed damage, and back dodge into a shield bash if you anticipate your opponent's attack. Since the rework, you'll have to follow the shield bash with a light attack poke to enter the sweep/guard break mix-up, and remember to occasionally throw a second poke to throw your opponent off. Highlander. 3 words, 8 letters, say it and I'm yours. Highlander is a big boy with a big ass sword that deals massive damage. The first mix-up you'll want to learn is the forward dash into top heavy, which can be soft feinted mid-attack into spinning side heavies in either direction. Most players will patiently wait to counter this, but if you can catch them in a dodge or attack, they're gonna have a bad time. Alongside this, you can hold heavy attack to enter Highlander's offensive stance. From here, you can throw unblockable heavies in either direction or lightning fast light attack pokes, as well as a kick that can be mixed up into a grab if your opponent is dodging it. You can also light attack through enemy attacks if you can time it right, much like the Warden's crushing counter, but in any guard direction. I know I've said this guy is garbage in the past, but with enough practice and patience, he's actually kind of a beast. Shaman. Task number 1, apply bleed damage. This can be done by soft feinting a heavy attack or zone into a light in any direction, or just light attacking at the end of a heavy chain finisher. Task number 2.
Pizza time.
Try to land a guard break and throw your opponent to guarantee you land on their face when you leap. Otherwise, you can feint the leap or hold it for a second to get your opponent to pre-dodge. On top of this, you can spam double lights, soft feint heavies into guard breaks, dash back into a normal bash which guarantees a light, or instead use a leaping heavy in any direction, dodge heavy, and mix up your left heavy chain finisher unblockable. If there's an easy button in For Honor, it's clicking on Shaman when you select your hero. Kensei. Mix up your top heavies every which way you possibly can, including side light, side heavy, guard break, and head bop soft feints. Kensei's fastest attack is their top light Skull Crusher, which can be immediately followed with the top heavy unblockable, your best bet for a successful mix-up. The zone attack comes out pretty quick as well, just make sure you cancel the awkward slow motion ballerina twirl part as to not get parried. And we can't forget the sidestep heavy, which is especially useful for countering headbutts and bashes. Couple this with being able to combo extremely effectively using pretty much any variation of lights and heavies for up to 3 hits, Kensei is one of the most balanced heroes in the current game. No memes here, just a solid hero without anything overpowered or annoying. In fact, he's so straightforward and understandable that I can't think of anything funny to say. It's actually kind of pissing me off. Shigeki. Use your hyper armor to get an easy light attack and headbutt 90% of the time. Feint heavies and try to mix things up if you can, but good fucking luck, my dude. If you happen to land a guard break, which can actually be done pretty well if you just use hyper armor through an attack, you can either launch your opponent to Season 1 when Shigeki was actually a threat, or throw them into a wall and give them a big hug. You can also charge your heavy attack to make it an unblockable that deals massive damage, but that shit comes out slower than Kevin Spacey after... No, that joke doesn't work here. Orochi. This boy extra speedy fast, and his light spam alone is something to be contended with for new players. Top double light is damn good damage and comes out quick. Mix this with a top heavy feint and you can get some good hits in easy peasy. If you'd rather play more defensively though, Orochi is built for counterattacking. Your backstep light is perfect for avoiding a hit then slamming your blade down on the top of your opponent's head. And the backstep heavy has a similar benefit, just slightly slower, but it makes up for it by allowing you to choose the direction your attack comes out in. After either of these moves, you can jump right back into spamming lights, so Orochi is the guy to play when you feel like clicking the right bumper a lot and thinking less. Also, don't forget he has a sidestep light as well, which is situational, but useful nonetheless. Nobushi. Shadow stance your opponent's attack so they whiff, and follow this with a kick and then light attack to apply bleed. Be extra careful throwing lights, because they're some of the easiest to parry in the game as I mentioned earlier. You're better off mixing up heavy feints and side dash heavy attacks, followed by the kick into bleed. You can also side dash light for an attack that applies bleed, but this is even easier to parry, so use it sparingly, and neither dash attack avoids damage. Oh, and definitely back up the entire match and use your range to your advantage. It's not at all annoying. Shinobi. Double light attack, then backflip away like the bitch you are and wait for a good time to range guard break. If you're in a duel, there is no good time, so scratch that last part. Also double dodge forward or to either side and kick your opponent in the face for a free heavy, or mix this up into a guard break by waiting a second after the dodge or light attack. I'm trying to think of what else is viable for Shinobi, but I think that's literally everything. Oh, the zone is pretty quick, but he throws a random second attack that can't be cancelled, so only do it if you're not expecting to get parried. In other words, it's not that viable, is it? Aramusha. Your zone attack is your only valid opener, so throw that as often as possible and be sure to cancel the unblockable second throw. but sometimes don't. What makes Aramusha especially unique is his all guard, which you want to follow up with a head bop light attack or a top heavy pretty much every time. Just don't get too greedy in using this, as it's trivially easy for your opponent to just feint a heavy and get a free guard break. On top of this, Aramusha is exceptional at comboing lights and heavies. On console, I'm sure his light spam is a pain in the dick, but on PC it's incredibly predictable, seeing as you have to jump between side to top every attack. If you follow a successful attack with a heavy in the same guard direction, you can soft feint it into a light attack in either opposing guard. Or just let that shit fly and hope your opponent is too nervous to hold their guard there. If you do cancel out with a light attack, you can jump right back into your attack chain. Alright, that's everyone. If you can only take one piece of valuable information from this video, it should probably be that Kevin Spacey is in fact gay. Ha! Nailed it! Comedy comes in threes. Even though this joke is about 9 months too late. Really hitting those trends, Shmolty, way to go. Remember to subscribe if you're new here for all of your For Honor and Rainbow Six shitpost, as well as the occasional Fortnite video when I need some extra ad revenue. I'm joking, boys. I always need extra ad revenue. Have you seen my upload schedule?